Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 10 of your peacemaking class. This is the final week of course instruction, and then you'll have, of course, finals week to finish your final paper. Uh, Introducing Spider Man. My daughter is a Marvel fan, and this is a whiteboard in my wife's studio, which I do most of the recordings in. And so I'm under strict orders not to erase Superman while Captain Marvel is coming out. Anyway, I hope you're having a good week and a good quarter, end of your quarter. I wanted to film a quick video just to give you some information about the paper that's a little bit beyond what you have in the syllabus. So here are a few things to know for your final paper. Of course, I sent an announcement out to you to say if you have an idea for your paper, to run it by me, and I may be able to give you some resources. I may be able to say, hey, look, you're on the right track, or maybe think about this. The one thing to know about this paper that distinguishes it from, say, an introduction to ethics paper is that it must have some kind of conflict embedded in it so that you can apply the peacemaking practices. So just make sure that you are, when you email me about your topic, that you are embedding in it a conflict that you can work through and do some research on. So that's one thing. Just generally for your paper, it needs to be Times New Roman font, 12-point normal margin, and double spaced. In that context, it's 10 to 15 pages, 10 being the minimum and 15 being the maximum. If you go under 10, I won't accept it, or over 15, I won't accept it. And so just shoot for that range. I want you to do footnotes, so not resources in the middle of the text, but I want you to do footnotes and not endnotes. And you can use either Chicago style or Turabian style footnotes for that. And then, of course, I want you to have a bibliography of the resources that you've used. One thing to know is, I'm pretty sure that you all know this, but Wikipedia is not an official source. It's a nice place to get some information and to look for sources, but it's not an official source because it's not peer reviewed. And so don't source Wikipedia as one of your resources. Here's what I would like for your final paper is that you would have 5 sources at least. 3 of those can be textbooks from the class, and then 2 at least will be outside of the course material. And you can find those sources in the footnotes to the textbooks that we've read, or in specific areas of interest that you're doing research on the topic that you've chosen. So 5 sources. 3 of those can be in-class sources, the textbooks that you've read, and then 2 must be outside of those. I've left the topic for the final research paper open-ended because my hope was that over the course of the quarter, you would find something that might interest you, pique your interest, or you are reminded of a conflict or something like that you can begin to do some research on and write a paper on. And so I've left it kind of open-ended so you can choose what to do with that. It can range from an interpersonal conflict, either in work or ministry setting or context, that you want to draw some principles from our peacemaking class into that conflict. It can be something that is a cultural issue. We've done a couple in the class. We've talked about race. We've talked about LGBTQ+. We've talked about immigration in our culture. And so those are topics that you can talk about and expand on. I just don't want you to regurgitate what you did in your group project. So if you choose one of the topics that we talked about in a group project, then what I'd like you to do is just take that deeper and add texture to those things. I want your paper to be in the 2 narrative style that we worked with in your group project. That is one of the fundamental lessons from this class that I'm hoping that you're getting is that you hear from both sides of the story and both sides of the conflict, and you're able to articulate each side in the terms that and the words that each side uses, so that they will say, yeah, you understand me and you understand my side of the conflict, and then you progress from there to draw in some principles from our course material on peacemaking. So the two narrative styles, you of course use material from the course and make application. And then what I want you to do, instead of like saying here's what I think the peacemaking practices should be in this particular conflict, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do some research on what groups or what individuals are trying the peacemaking principles or practices that you think might help with a conflict. And so don't just say, advanced democracy and human rights, but look for organizations that are doing that. What's the fruit of that, of their work? How effective are they being? And then draw from that lessons that you can apply to the particular conflict. So that's my hope. And if you are like picturing the architecture of your paper, I would probably do about 1/3 of to one quarter to 1/3 of introduction to the topic and the conflict. I would do the middle part, so another third at least on narrating the two different sides of the conflict, and then the last third of drawing application from the course material and your research on how to resolve the conflict or how to move into there to bring some peacemaking to the topic. The due date is Friday, March 22nd, and it's fine up until midnight Pacific Standard Time. There, I will get to the grading of it on Saturday and Sunday. So I won't accept late papers unless it's previously communicated to me why and I've approved it. And so make sure you get those papers in on time. I think that's all the detailed information about the paper, final research paper. So if you have more questions, please feel free to email me or text me and ask those questions. I'm really looking forward already. Some people have submitted their topic proposals, and I'm really looking forward to reading your papers and seeing your projects. I always learn a lot during this time as I'm reading and grading your paper, so I really appreciate that. One final note is that you will see, besides Spider-Man, of course, you will see Wonder Woman in the background. If you watch all of the videos, you will notice that there is an Easter egg in all of my videos. I do this just for fun. And if you can name all of the figures in the back of my videos, and sometimes you have to look hard, sometimes they're very obvious, you will get a tiny bit of extra credit. It's just for fun, but you'll get a tiny bit of extra credit for doing that. So I hope you have a great week. I will be posting some videos to bring the course together, some of the material together, because we've been working on application through the group project, through the forum on Park's book and with Charlotte Williams. And I'm going to be posting a few things that hopefully brings the content from the first half of the class and your work on the second half of the class together to talk about peacemaking as a biblical call for us as Christians. So have a great week, and we'll talk more over the course of this week, and then of course email me your ideas and your topics for your paper.